Hello everyone, and welcome to another audio podcast. In this series, the equity intermission. This is the Shientist on this audio podcast around evidence based through research and investigation. And I'm going to be talking about side A of an art sort of art and chronic kidney disease initiative that took place in collaboration with the Renal Patient Support Group and the Kidney Disease and Renal Support Group, or KDARs for kids. And it's basically an academic and apart from being an initiative in relating to a collaborative effort. It was an academic and a research sort of initiative, and I'm going to highlight this work by sharing a few of the pages of this art book. And I'm going to highlight some of this in related to side A or side A or CKD art book A, and in a subsequent audio podcast I will highlight around CKD art book B. So the remit around this book was around chronic kidney disease and evidence-based through art, evidence-based through research and investigation, and using art to raise chronic kidney disease research through awareness. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some of the pages in relating to this, and also highlight some of the themes that are in this book, in this art book. And the book also, or this art book, it sort of has been co-developed in a way where for example, there are themes according to different health aspects that chronic kidney disease patients go through, both adults and pediatrics, and adults and pediatrics or young people. And also the book actually serves as a notes section according to each theme. So basically, those going through the health the chronic kidney disease, and having to, and for example going through having to go to different sort of places for their appointments, as part of their healthcare, for example, can use the book to actually sort of jot down their notes according to different themes. And so what I'll do is I will highlight some of this in that way. But first, before I do that, I am going to highlight some of the themes. So this was a collaborative effort between two social media platforms, and also two academic institutions in the United Kingdom. So the themes are let me get this. So the different themes relate to chronic kidney disease, the lab tests and investigations, biopsy and surgery, diet and nutrition, renal replacement therapy, psychology and related, medication and pharmacy, lifestyle, patient care, primary care and GP, wellness and well-being, nursing, peer support, COVID-19 and infections, electronic patient records, and there are also in the art books, in both of them, actually there is a theme around the Renal Patient Support Group specifically, and KDARs specifically, some conclusions and also some dedications. Now, I'm just going to highlight that particular page by just showing that on screen. So hopefully you can see that, although it might not be very clear, but you can see themes in there, and then there's the different colors that are in circles. Those are the different themes that are that form the different themes within and throughout this book, this art book. And the aims around this were actually so that to help really bridge gaps by adding color to chronic kidney disease, dialysis and transplantation, and using art to reflect evidence-based needs and requirements. And there's an involvement aspect to this as well. So using art and photos posted on social media between the social media platforms to connect best practices. So that was one of the main things, and to highlight evidence surrounding nephrology, dialysis and transplantation, to involve two leading patient and professional organizations, and to prevent impoverishment, health disparities, and increase health equality. And as part of this, one of the main questions is also who is the book aimed for? Who can use it? So there's nephrologists or clinicians, allied health professionals from different sectors, and patients and carers, and of course RPSG, Renal Patient Support Group, and KDARs for kids, KDARs for kids users. Another part of this CKD art book is that the book aims to implement art in a way of doing what words cannot. So in this context, for example, help identify strengths and limitation of how art posted through social media strengthens evidence-based healthcare for kidney patients. And then another point around this was art to supplement health practice, highlighting evidence through health and disease. And then the other point here is again adding color to chronic kidney disease, dialysis and transplantation. So I'm going to highlight a little bit around the introduction around this as well. The introduction and in context of the mission and the vision. So generally to help gain a broader understanding of how people with advanced chronic kidney disease receiving different forms of renal replacement therapy cope with healthcare through art, seeking to solve issues around health literacy, where patients use art to open up dialogue between pediatrics or young people and adult kidney care practice. And also, this is it's a novel. It was a novel initiative, and the first of its kind to link art and kidney care and science. I'm now going to highlight a little bit around the different themes, and what I intend to do, or at least highlight, is that in the art book, in both of the art books, there's the theme, and relating to the theme there is there's the adult adult kidney disease or adult kidney disease perspective, where there's a direct quotation, a direct quote that has been adapted from the Renal Patient Support Group and inserted in the book and anonymized, and from the pediatrics and young people's perspective, there's a quotation that's been added into the book and also anonymized. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to read out the context, but I am going to highlight the theme and just show the different pictures or the art that relates to each theme, and every third page, every third page of that theme. So there's the adult's perspective, there's a pediatrics perspective, then there is the a sort of an overall contextualized context relating to that theme, and then the fourth page around that theme is a notes page where anyone can use the notes page to add their own notes according to that particular theme. So for example, so theme 1, so here is the theme around the adult kidney patients perspective, and apologies, it's not going to be very clear, but you see the art there next to it with a quotation, and then the next page is the pediatrics or the young person's context. The same art has been used on purpose so that it relates to that particular theme, and then the next page is the educational context relating to that theme. This theme was, for example, the very first theme, or one of the first themes, is lab tests and investigations, and the educational context is there. You can see there. Again, apologies, you probably won't be able to read that, but that is the educational context around that particular theme, and then the next page after that is the notes page. So basically, the notes page can be used to document notes, and health professional can use it, patients can use it, carers can use it, siblings can use it, anyone can use that page to document anything they want relating to that particular theme. And the next theme is biopsy and surgery. So there's a adult's perspective, and then there's the pediatrics or young people's perspective, then there's the educational context around that, and then there's a notes page. And then the same with theme 3, which is diet and nutrition. There's an adult's perspective, and then there's a pediatrics and young person's perspective, and then there's the educational context, and then there's a notes page. Then there's theme 4, which is the about renal replacement therapy. There's an adult's perspective, and then there's a pediatrics perspective. There is the educational context around that, and then there's a notes page. Theme 5, around psychology. There's an adult's perspective, and then there's a pediatrics perspective, and then there's the educational context and the notes page around that. There's a context around medication and pharmacy from the adult's perspective, and then there's the pediatrics perspective. There's the educational context around that, and then there's a notes page for that, and there's a a page around lifestyle, one context from the adult side and context from the pediatrics young person side, and then there's the educational context around that, and then there's the notes page around that. Then there is theme 8, for example, is around primary care, and there's the adults and the pediatric side. I'm just going to turn this around so you can have a look at what that looks like. So you can see there's some artwork there, which is primarily relating to primary care, and then there's the adults. Sorry, that's the pediatrics. That's the pediatrics or young person's perspective, and artwork around there. And then there's the educational context around that, and then there's the notes page around that can be used. And then another theme is a wellness and well-being, and there's adults. This is theme 9, which is an adult's perspective, and then pediatrics or young person's perspective, and then the educational context around that. There's theme 10, which is nursing. There's nursing around adult patients, and nursing from pediatrics and young people, and then the educational context around that. There is theme 11, which is exercise, which relates to adults, and there's an adult's perspective, and then there's a pediatrics perspective, and then there's educational context around that, and then a notes page. There's theme 12 here is around peer support, and so here is theme 12, which has some art there, and some qualitative context, and then there is some there's the pediatrics or young people's perspective, and there's the educational context around that, and then there's the notes page around that. And yes, and theme 13 is about COVID-19 and infections, and so there's the adult perspective on that, and then there's the pediatrics and young people's perspective around that, and then there's the educational context around that, and a notes page again. And there's theme 14. Theme 14 is the electronic patient records, or EPRs, and there's a perspective on that from the adult perspective on adult patients on electronic patient records there, with some artwork, and then there's a pediatrics or young people's perspective around electronic patient records, and some artwork around there. And then there is some educational context. There is some educational context that contextualizes that particular theme, and then there is there's the notes page. There's a notes page there, and there is an educational context relating to the Renal Patient Support Group and KDARs. And again, I apologize for this, but it is some general context around the educational context that relates to both social media platforms there, and then and then there's a notes page. There's a notes page around that, if notes page that can be used in relating to that if needed. And then there's a page around sort of conclusions, some conclusions around the works. And there's a notes page around that. And then there's a page on dedications in this book, in this art book. So those who have been dedicated are highlighted as dedications in this work. And then there is a list of references, some references, and there's references from an adult side, or those suffering with kidney disease from the adult side, and references and from a pediatrics and young people side as well. And there's some author notes here, and there is actually a list of author and co-author affiliations in this work, and that is on the last page, on the second from last page, and on the final page is a list of acknowledgements, and a list of acknowledgements in this work as well. And finally, on the very back page of this work is an abstract of the work in an overview relating to the work from a sort of an academic overview, really. And it forms the very back page, and again, apologies if it can't be seen on the screen there, but it is basically an overview of CKD evidence-based through art and evidence-based through research and investigation. And primarily the abstract looks at providing an overview in relating to sort of online spaces, and how online spaces that streamline and integrate education to promote initiatives such as integrated care pathways, patient-centered care, and shared decision-making are important examples of attempts to align clinical and non-clinical and service user healthcare. So this book, side A, CKD and evidence-based through art, side A, is available through the Renal Patient Support Group, the RPSG. It's available, and basically it's been co-developed between the two social media platforms and from an academic perspective, so that patients and carers, etc., and health professionals can use the book as a way of documenting aspects of the healthcare. And then once aspects of healthcare have been documented according to particular themes, some of the context could then would be potentially transferable to the patient's electronic patient record. So thus the electronic patient record, where traditionally it tends to be very sort of numerical, is quantitative in relating to tests and investigations, for example. By having notes from this book added into the electronic patient record, potentially, then it would make the electronic patient record more mixed methodology. Sort of a mixed methodology sort of effort, where basically patients have the opportunity to look at the electronic patient records in numerical format, but also in sort of qualitative context, so that anything that they wanted to pick up on can be and would potentially have been documented, not just by using a book like this, for example, but also by having it documented in their electronic patient record. Anyway, that's side A, and I am going to draw this audio podcast to a close, and I will be talking a little bit about side B around this, and the works around side B stem back a little bit further than this work, but however, it is sort of a linked effort. There's a linked effort between side A or book A and book B. So I want to say thank you for listening on this audio podcast in this series, the Equity Intermission. This has been the Shientist on evidence-based through research and investigation side A, and this has been another Storm Robotics production. Thank you for taking the time.